Hey, Bernardo, Wealth Extended Family. Bitcoin is back. Matt and I are here to just have a conversation, talk to you about the why behind what's going on, that all of a sudden, it's back, it's at all-time highs. Before we talk about this, though, we want to be very clear. We're not here to promote or to tell you, to buy or to sell Bitcoin. It's really just a conversation to understand, like, what are the things and events happening and what's our perspective. The biggest catalyst, Matt, we've been talking about is spot Bitcoin, right? And spot Bitcoin is really just helping people to get access to the asset class without having to open up a digital wallet and kind of jump through those different hoops. And in my experience of working with clients in the last couple of years, I've had plenty of clients call, say they want access, and it's, well, we can't facilitate that for you, right? You can't buy Bitcoin in a Schwab account. You had to go to Coinbase, you had to go to virtual wallets, which creates complexity. And so now they're widely available in ETFs. So Matt, walk us through like what happened, what's the methodology behind this approval from the SEC for spot Bitcoin prices and what that really means.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to give some context, I think that the market has really been looking for this to happen for quite some time. Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, was kind of the original product that people could use on the market where they could get access to Bitcoin. But the problem with GBTC was that it was a trust and it didn't exactly follow the spot market of Bitcoin. So to your point, when the SEC approved the filings for spot Bitcoin ETFs, that's when you saw all of this incremental demand really come in for Bitcoin in the market. And to your point, I know we've been talking about this, in approving the spot Bitcoin ETFs, what really happened from a supply and demand standpoint is that when the spot Bitcoin ETFs were approved, that's all incremental demand that really came into the market. And I think that's really helped why you've seen Bitcoin have such a significant price appreciation to start the year so far.
Yeah. And it's, think about it in terms of like gold, right?
Yep.
A lot of people, I think we can kind of correlate or draw the connection between, you want to invest in gold, right? Gold, you can go buy coins, you can buy Cougarans, you can buy bars out from a dealer, pay a big commission to get them, and then go stick them in your safe at home and monitor them on your side, etc. Or GLD is a gold trust that was created with the spot price of gold to create a market and a way to basically go and invest in gold without physically going and buying and storing the gold. So in GLD, you have a trust that buys your gold and stores it in a warehouse. I think it's in Kansas or Missouri or somewhere in that area that gives you the access. And so they're reporting price and giving investors a really easy segue into that market to be able to invest. So Bitcoin, same thing. You can go and buy it on your own and create those complications, or now you can go into these kind of simple ETF structures. It's also opened up investing in an ETF. Now you can invest in a retirement account where that was a complication and very difficult to do in these virtual wallets. In terms of, Matt, what do we think about just what's behind Bitcoin? Because I think that's like people are just so perplexed by that. Saying, is it a currency? Is it an asset class? Like, well, what really is it? Do you have any thoughts on that you want to share?
I guess high level, I think one thing that's been really interesting to follow over time is that I think people viewed Bitcoin, like Nick is saying, as a very speculative asset. And one thing that I was tracking is if you look at the NASDAQ market and Bitcoin, up until really the start of this year, they were highly correlated. So if someone wanted to put a risk on trade, as some people say, they would buy NASDAQ, they would buy Bitcoin, they would buy any of these kind of high volatile type securities. And what you've really seen now is that there's been a decoupling of that. You've seen NASDAQ obviously trade higher so far this year, but not to the same degree that Bitcoin has. And so, Nick, like a question that I'm getting a lot is like, what is Bitcoin? What are you really investing behind? Do you have any thoughts on that for the clients?
That's a great question. And I think the answer is as clear as mud, really, because what is behind it, right? You have this blockchain, which I do believe is the future. I believe blockchain is here to stay. But there is no country behind it. It's not like the US dollar. Well, the US dollar is backed by a real central bank, backed by a real government. Bitcoin, what's behind it? Well, blockchain. Well, what is blockchain? Well, we're verifying all these transactions and all of these currencies or cryptocurrencies with this massive network. And it feels like that network is really safe. It does feel like these transactions are being validated correctly. But at the end of the day, what's behind it? I don't know that anyone has a very clear answer to say, well, this is exactly what's behind it. And so with that comes inherently a ton of risk. I think that it's going to take quite a while for Bitcoin to really stabilize, if ever, right? So like think about the actual practical application of cryptocurrency. Like if you can go buy something in Bitcoin, I know for sure that if we were telling or saying, hey, this is a currency and you can use it to buy stuff, but you're going to go buy a house, and today you have $20,000 worth of Bitcoin, and tomorrow it could be 25 or it could be 15,000 and disrupt that whole transaction. Well, that's not going to work. So I think that we're a little ways away, or a good bit away, and we really need some of these stable coins to become more mainline so that we start to see this thing pick up in transactional nature and not just be kind of this investment thesis and this emerging market of the future without a whole lot of substance behind it. So I think that's part of the challenge of really this market, is it doesn't feel like there's anything behind it. It doesn't feel very fundamental as well. We talk about fundamentals in markets, and how do you create fundamentals around something that we're not even sure what is really truly tangibly behind it. So I think that's still a challenge in the Bitcoin environment.
I think that's one thing we can definitely agree on when talking about Bitcoin. And I think that for a long time, people have thought of it as potentially using it as a medium of exchange to buy and sell goods like you're talking about. But in my opinion, kind of to date, it really has just remained a very speculative asset.
Yeah, exactly. So we hope this is helpful, just a chance to kind of chat back and forth about Bitcoin, about the crypto environments, and just really navigating through it, just to give some substance and some of the comments on the run up and kind of where we think we are. So appreciate your time today, and we look forward to connecting with you soon. Thanks.